And welcome. We're going through brain lesson number 71, and in this one here we'll look at some of the tips or just common ways in which we can cope with stress during the stress epidemic. We'll look at things like exercise, meditation. With meditation, for Muslims is zikr and Durood, remove negative thoughts and avoid toxic people. It's easier said than done. But if you are going through stress or someone in your life is going through stress, please do not ignore it, because sometimes when we are young, we think we can cope with anything in life. But before we know it, the challenges of life come up, and then we find that we are in a difficult situation. Okay, so the first most common way of stress, as we know with stress, it's a release of adrenaline in the body and release of cortisol. These are the stress hormones. Cortisol come from the adrenal gland sitting above on top of the kidneys. And chronic stress can cause burnout in the body because the cortisol levels start dropping dramatically. Exercise is one of the most fabulous ways to cope with stress. If you are relatively fit and young, or if you're a business CEO, you're a top manager, you're a medical doctor, you're a top accountant, you're a lawyer, then it goes without saying, like myself in medical school, the way we used to cope with the exams and the heavy workload that we had, we used to go play squash. And that's how you find many doctors playing squash. We know it's very high intense activity, or going cycling. It must be intensive sports, because the higher level of stress, the more intense must be the sport, so you can get rid of the stress. Just think of it as steam building up in the body, and you need to release it. Or you can go swimming. I used to love swimming as well. Go lap upon lap upon lap. Swimming is one of the most fabulous exercises. Besides walking, if you got a swimming pool, which is a heated swimming pool, and you don't react to the chemicals in the swimming pool, now we also have the salt chlorinators, which are more gentle on the body. I would recommend swimming, which is a sunnah as well of Nabi Sal'lal'laa'hu A'lay'hi Was'sal'lam. And the next best exercise is walking. But if you don't have a pool, then the best exercise on earth is walking. So please, when you're going through any type of stress, find what you enjoy. Join a football club. You have night tennis, and now in South Africa and all over the world, paddle tennis is going very high. It's skyrocketing all over the world. It's a nice social game, social outing with the whole family can play together with paddle tennis. So develop some sort of physical exercise. The moment you start doing any type of exercise, then certain hormones are released in the body. These are known as the feel-good hormones. They are like minor doses of opium that the body releases, the endorphins and the dopamine, and you start feeling good. You start feeling on a high, and many times those of you who have been exercising regularly, you know exactly what I'm talking about. On the day when you skip your exercise, you feel miserable. If you don't go cycling today, you'll feel miserable. If you don't play squash, you'll feel miserable. If you don't go play a round of golf, you'll feel miserable. So your body starts you start becoming addicted to it, which is a good thing, because it's an addiction to a good thing. Exercise is good, but avoid extreme sports unless you are a professional in that field. Okay, so first and foremost, the best way to cope with stress is through exercise. The next way is through meditation. What is meditation? There are different types of meditation techniques. And the ones who are very, very good at this are three main categories that I know of. One is in the field of Buddhism. You find these Buddhist monks have undergone various intensive training skills in meditation and mindfulness. And they've also got the scientific studies and medical studies that shows that some of these Buddhist monks are so amazing that normally the brain waves are normally the beta waves. They're moving fast all the time. But when you're relaxing, when you're calming your body down, they go through alpha waves, a slower waves. The body goes through a slow, deep rhythm. The breathing slows down. And these amazing monks can even reduce their blood pressure. Can you imagine? Just by mindfulness, just by thinking about it. And they can even reduce their heart rate. So from 72 beats a minute, they bring it to 65, then 60, then 55, then 50 beats a minute. Can you imagine what type of meditation techniques, how powerful the brain is? So meditation is very powerful. That's in Buddhism. Hinduism got a lot of techniques for meditation. And then we find in Islam, we find the zikr that many people perform, the Sufi zikrs, the Durood Sharif, when you're gathering together in the mosque, in the gardens of paradise, the rings of zikr, the circles of zikr are the gardens from the gardens of paradise. So formulate what you want to do to try and bring some form of meditation, calming your body down, so your body goes to a rhythm of chanting, and this brings the brain calming down, the heart rate slows down, and you start feeling good about yourself. So first is exercise, meditation, zikr, and then remove negative thoughts from your brain. Many times we have negative thoughts. We read something on TV, or we're going out, someone told us something, and we feel hurt about it. They broke our heart. Or a family friend insulted us, or a friend insulted us. So those negative thoughts keep playing on our brain, and we feel really miserable. And then we become very irritable. We come home, we start fighting. The husband starts fighting with the wife, or the wife starts fighting with the husband, but they don't tell one another what it is. It's not their fault. Meanwhile, someone else irritated them, and their irritation, they bring it home. So I would always encourage my staff, when we used to work long hours at the hospital, night shift and day shift and in casualty and ICU, and I used to tell them, okay, what you must do is, at work, when you're working, don't bring your problems at home. So when you come home, you must just imagine, try and imagine in your brain that now you are taking your problems and you are hanging it outside your door. Right, so before you come into the house, when you press the remote button, or before you enter the house, you just look at the side of your house and you say, okay, my work problems, I'm leaving it outside the door, and then you go home with a nice smiling face. Similarly, don't be unfair to the boss as well who's giving you the job. So if you've got problems at home, if you've got domestic problems at home, don't bring it to work. So when you come into work at the office, then you take your problems at home, you leave it at home, because it's not fair on the employer that you bring your domestic problems at work and you start talking to everyone, I've got this problem, that problem. Okay, it's fine now and then if you're amongst the office staff, it's fine, but don't let it affect your productivity. So the rule in life, or the lesson in life, is don't bring the problems from work to the house, and don't bring the house problems to the work. And then if you can try and avoid toxic people, it's easier said than done. For example, if it's a work environment, you can't avoid the toxic people. So try and handle that. Go to the manager and say, look, this is not right. Okay, especially if there's harassment or bullying or there's intimidation, then you immediately report it. There's always an HR department, especially in the big companies. Go to the HR department. There are avenues available to try and get rid of toxic people. Bullying in the workplace is not allowed. Bullying at school is not allowed. If anyone is bullying a child, please report it immediately to the teacher. And many times the children are scared. They are shy, or they are very soft children, kind-hearted. So I would encourage all your friends, anyone who's watching it, if someone in your school is being bullied, please stand up, do a random act of kindness, and go and support your friend. Stand around him and say, no, we are here supporting you. Go report that to the teacher and say, no, that fellow is bullying our friend here. So please don't keep quiet, must stand up. And in cases where you can, so in a work environment, you can't avoid toxic people, but when you can, say in a social function, you go to a wedding or somewhere, and you find there's a toxic person there, you just go in another direction. Rather avoid toxic people in your life. Okay, stay well and look after yourself. We're going through a stress epidemic at the moment. Please take care of yourself.